Good afternoon, everybody. This is Chrisi from SolsticeATR. I am covering the week of May 20th through May 24th. Today's date is May 18th, 2019. Will be going over the S&P 500, the Nasdaq, the Russell, and the Dow Jones Industrial as a combination. This is a weekly chart, and what I would like to say, we had three tops and a failure. We came back to the 50 SMA on the weekly chart, bounced back up. We got into the 18 simple moving average, and unfortunately, we failed this area. As long as we're below the 38,052 and 37,535, we're a little bit on the bearish side. But remember, we've had all week noise in the market due to the tariff, the push up, the push down, and the back and forth, the negotiation. It's causing a little bit of electricity in the momentum and the direction of the moves. We've had for a week an increase in volume, first of all. Second of all, keep an eye what the technicals give you. Don't be biased to being bullish or bearish because anything is possible in a change on a trend. So this is the weekly chart. Let's go look at the daily, how it looks like before I break down each instrument one by one. This is the combination once again of all of them. And if you notice, this was the Friday push down. Then we had the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday pushed back up. And Friday we came back down. We're still in an uptrend as long as we're above this 37,350, we're going to be still bullish. If we are under 37,000, 35, 37,000, be careful of this because the 200 SMA won't support it. Will eventually fall back to the 61.8 where we consolidated in this box for a while, came into this box and pushed higher. We reset the advanced decline line of the push up and taken the DMI whistle up. Unfortunately, we got to the high peak of it. We rejected and trying to come back up. Is this going to form a shoulder here and go fail completely, or just come straight down, form that shoulder, fall through and continue lower, or do we clear and go back up? So let's go to the E-mini contract /ES. That's the S&P 500. What I'd like to show on the daily chart is just, let's break it down a little further in. If you notice, this was the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We are closing right underneath the 50 SMA. We have the 18, which is, above us in that 61.8. If we take the measurement from the high to the low here, we came back, retested the 2800, which was 2799.75, came back all the way to retest the 9350. That was 93, I believe, and this was 94. So we went, looked above it by a little bit and rejected on Friday. If we're going to stay bullish, we have to stay above the 2840 area to continue higher, because if you draw a channel from this one to this contact, we're still above it, and that would be, somewhere in this area to hold. If it doesn't hold and we fall through it, it will be continuation to the 200 SMA and the 116 before we get any consolidation. And I will mark this area with a little oval. Let's just go change the instrument to an oval. And we'll mark the upper section in case we fall through. We'll make it very thin so that way everybody, we have some idea where we can head to. Clear this area and come back above it and clear the 18 SMA in this channel, we'll go back to this one right here. And we do have it marked, but let's just redraw it. Remove this drawing, and we're going to make it the same way. And just draw it very thin. And I'll do the same thing here with this one, so that way it's not too fat. Remove drawing. We're going to draw it right around between the 200 and a little bit right under the 200. I'm going to make that a little bit heavier. Okay, so that's the S&P 500. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ NQ. The NASDAQ NQ had the same scenario. We had a Monday push down that was higher volume. Tuesday came back, consolidated back up. Wednesday up, Thursday up. And if you notice, the volume here dropped a little bit. And on Friday, it picked itself up and fell down through the 50 SMA. We rejected the 18, came back to the 38.2 and just closed slightly right underneath it. We have to keep an eye on the 7400 area. That's very critical, because if we fall through this area here, this channel is the only channel that would hold it. What I'm going to do, put an over right here at support, just so everybody can see it. And I'm going to put a target between the 200 SMA and the 116 to the downside. But if, you know, things do work out and we clear this uptrend, we're going to look for the upside up in this area to the other side. Okay, everyone? So we'll just put that first one up here, and the second one would be up here. Okay, that's the NASDAQ. Let's take a look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average, YM, which I usually don't look as much at it, but you know, because it doesn't represent all the overall market, it only represents 30 companies. We're still in an uptrend here. You notice that if we lose that 25,500, be careful of it, because that's the 116 area, the 200 SMA, and I have a DMI ADX crossing. That's why I have that big long line here on this Dow Jones Industrial Average. What I'm going to do is just put an oval right here, and I'm going to put one. If we clear that top here, I'm going to clear, you know, the 50 and the 18. I'm going to put one right up in this area to keep an eye if we get above the 26,100. If not, remember, this can be, you know, creating like a shoulder here. That's the head of it. Is this the shoulder? So we put a smiley face here. That's the shoulder. There's double here. Does this create a shoulder and down, or do we continue back up? Let's take a look at the small cap, RTY. The RTY looks a little different. Remember this consolidation? We did this consolidation, then we looked above, tried to break out, and came back in. Let's just go zoom in on this one a little bit more closer. If you noticed, the Russell seems to be the weakest. If you notice, this channel here has broken down and we fell below the 1540. We got to keep an eye if we can clear the 1560 to go back up, because the small cap usually, I say to everybody, it starts to move up, it starts to move down. If it's the strongest, it pushes everybody up with it. If it's the weakest, it's going to push everybody down with it. So my Russell is the most important indicator, and it has to hold the 1520 area. If it does not and cannot get back above this candle here, which has the 200 SMA, the 50 and the 18, if you know the odds are better for the Russell, I'd like to see it come back, you know, clear and take everybody up with it. But due to the tariff, it's got weakness. If it falls through that 15, since it fell through the 1520 area, that big line, red dash line, which I had this oval, I'm going to move that one, get rid of that one, remove that drawing because it's no longer valid in this one. And remove it. We remove that one. I'm going to move the other one to the right side so everybody can see it. Remove drawing. And we're going to put, this oval is very important here, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the 116 SMA as my first line, just right underneath the support. If we fall through it and we fall through the 1525, 1540 area and continue lower, or do we head above this candle? Let's take a look at some equities. AAPL, due to the tariff, Apple was, you know, doing very well. Unfortunately, the following week, because of the negotiation, fell through, that came back up, and it fell through, and it's right underneath the 188. This is a critical area, which is the 50% fib on the daily chart. Apple has been struggling a little bit to continue higher, and this is a critical area. If it cannot clear the, you know, the 192, 193 area, we'll just put a little marker here. This is important, and if it falls through here and cannot get above there. That 182 won't be support. There's a little gap here and there's a gap here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put my area between the 116 and the gap. You see it? I'm going to highlight it a little bit bigger. And we're going to put it right in this area. So that's the area I would like to see Apple first get to before you get a bounce, because this one would be the gap in this area. You see there's one from here to here. That would be a nice to reset and come back up, but this is the market, just at least to have an idea where Apple can go. Let's take a look at the Amazon. Amazon, due to this as well, similar situation, the large caps, on this push up, you see the volume just disintegrated, and Thursday was an up day on a gap, and eventually Friday gapped up, tried to get to the top, couldn't clear the yesterday's close, came back through, fell through the open of it, fell through the low, and closed right on the 118 SMA. If this doesn't hold it, remember we had the 18 SMA here, we'll just remove that one out of here. We'll remove that, we had the oval and the 50 SMA prior. I mean, if that 50 is lost, I would think, let's just put it, just make it thin, between this area. I would like to see, Amazon in this consolidation area. And if you notice, that was the prior, push up. Can Amazon hold this area? That would be the 200 SMA or the 116, and I'm going to just mark this area here. If Amazon can clear the, the 1920, then it's to the upside. If not, it's to the downside. Let's take a look at BIDU. BIDU had a bad report, I believe, on Friday, and if you notice, BIDU came in and gapped lower on the earning report, and it lost, the zero line that we had from before this area here. It tried to come up and eventually grinded down, couldn't hold its position, and just had a big sell-off on the daily bar, and that volume has really spiked up. If you notice, that volume was almost 29 million shares. That's a lot of shares, at an institution getting out of the way on BIDU. Let's take a look at Facebook. Facebook is in a similar situation. That's the earning gap from before. We're still holding up. We're in an up channel. You can take this dot here to this one here, connect those control. We broke through it. That was the earn. Came back up, came back in. But if we cannot clear 185, 187 in Facebook, and I'm going to mark this one with a little bit bigger oval to the 18 SMA. We'll put one right here. That's if it breaks above it. If it falls through and cannot hold here, first one would be the 50 SMA for first support. If not, I would look for the 61.8, which is down here, and eventually the 200 SMA. In this oval, what we'll do, we'll just move it to the right side. Remove drawing, and we'll put it right here. Okay, let's go to Google. Google had a good week. I mean, 2 days in a row after all this, beating. We had those ovals, couldn't get to the top. It missed the 50 SMA, got a rejection, came back through, fell down. Then you had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday up. But Google, if it clears this candle here and clears the 18 SMA, which is the 1198 1200, I'm going to move this oval out of here, remove it. I would like to see Google come back up in this range, clear it, and get back to this one up here, which is a 61.8. If the market doesn't give it any support whatsoever, I mean, it's possibility, that 1200, 1224 is not going to be happening, because you get the 50 SMA, you get the 50 fib, your 18, cannot clear. We'll look below, that 1450, eventually the 1120 to fill up the 11.1. So we'll have a bigger range here to the downside, if things don't work out. But if it does hold and clear this candle, and clear the 18 and clear, the 1200, look back to fill this gap here. If not, and it falls through the 1145, 1150, look for the 1100, 1120 down bottom. Let's take a look at Netflix. Netflix has been, I mean, people do watch, movies at home. Some of them don't want to go to an entertainment movie theater, they watching it, and you see this is, between the 345 and 365 being going back and forth. But this time it's very critical. It had lost the 355 area. In order to Netflix continue higher, I would like it to clear 365. If it cannot clear the 365 area, I think Netflix will come back to the 200 SMA where that consolidation started before, the earning report, which brought it down, consolidated in this area and pushed back up. I would like to, I mean, because you have a down channel here. If you notice this down channel, and we can draw one down here, eventually it's going to meet here. Let's just do an oval on it, and that way you guys have a better idea how to look at it. If I look at this candle here and I connect it to this one, that's that. And if I connect this one from here to that one here, you can see that it's in a down channel. The midpoint of it is here. If it falls through, continues lower, it cannot go back up halfway, or the 38.2, these two channels, there's a midpoint of it, cannot continue back up and clear those areas, comes back to here, eventually backside of the back channel, it'll get a bounce somewhere in this area, the 38% back up, or it fall through the all to the bottom of this channel here. And we'll just put a little tiny marker here on it. Let's just go back to an oval. Remember, I do like Netflix. This is just my biased opinion compared to a lot of, other companies out there. We'll just put a thin one right here. But I would like to see if it supports here, get a bounce off it. If it clears this area here, the 360, 365, look for the upside back to the 61.8 at least of these two candles that brought it back down. We'll just move this one out of the way. Remove drawing. Let's take a look at Tesla. Tesla is the one I always have been screaming since, the 374, 368 area. That's Tesla. Okay, here we go. That's Tesla. If you notice, Tesla got to the oval on the weekly. Let's just go to the weekly chart. This is my weekly look. It just coming to that area. It touched this area. Is it going to get support here, or is it going to get support in the 195, 200 and go back up? Since it's in a down channel area, I mean, still the temptation is to get to that big one here, which is in this area here. But I hate to say it to everybody, that green box, is it possible to visit? Yeah, it's visited those. It visited this one. Is it this last one that we're going to visit before we get a bounce? I still have this oval here. Let's see if it gets any support and things do change on Tesla. I'd like to see the 194 to 180. Remember, I was a little bit bullish last week on Tesla, which I really liked it to go back up. So you had the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, it fell through. If things are going to change in that 214 and we clear that 214 back up, we clear the 231, 250 is easy possibility of coming back up. But if you cannot hold, the 200 area, look for the first range, which is the 195, to try to get one bounce back up. I would like to accumulate a little bit of position in Tesla myself. Since, I've been bearish on it for that long, I think there should be a change Tesla. Let's take a look at XOM. XOM, due to the Middle East crisis between, Iran, sanctions, oil, the Saudis, Exxon, that 75 area is very critical. The 7450, the 7390 area would be a very nice area to get a bounce off it. And let's just put a, you know, just a nice oval here. But on the daily chart, since I was using the weekly, if you notice, the daily is going sideways. Is it a possibility to accumulate, position around the 75, 74 area? Yeah, you can, try some here in this range here. See if it holds, and if it clears the 76 back to the, 78, 80 area, eventually where I usually, positioning in and out of a position on the Exxon, because it pays a 4% dividend. Let's do WYNN. when, since that push up, remember I said it may hit that top resistance, couldn't continue, just eventually fell through, hit the 116 SMA, tried to get a bounce, came back under it. I would like to see, that 115, 114 area hold in WYNN, I said Tesla, in WYNN, to see if it gets support, because this was consolidation, before you can break out. You see it 1, 2, you got the fall down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, push up, came back to it, 8, 9, 10, whatever you want to call it, pushed up, came back to it. If this is going to hold, I'd like to see, when hold that 114 area, 115, and go back a little bit up. So we'll just put a marker here on it. Let's just go look at the oil, since we didn't cover oil. And this is CL, it's getting a nice rounded bottom. It's just inside the up channel. It's consolidating. If, oil can clear 64.80, let's see it back up to, to the 68 area. If it falls through and cannot hold the 61.90 area, look for the back side of the 58 for a bounce in oil. So those two elbows, are we going to move them out? Remove drawing. Remove this oval. We'll put one right here in this area between the 57.75 and 58.90, and we'll put one right, if it clears this area and clears those two candles and this one, back to the the 66 area, and eventually the 68, and this one will be the up channel. Remove this drawing, just remove the oval. We'll leave that oval out till the following week, because I want to see it up here and then the 68 area. We can just do one round here as well. So let's just leave that around there. There we go. Let me just cover the ES a little bit more in detail before I finish up the video. This is the daily chart on the ES. Remember the volume after the push down Monday, it declined. Friday, it picked up a little bit, but you notice the last week or so, we had the volume increase to the downside. Is this sell away and go away in May? Maybe, maybe not. But the volume hasn't really been dramatic. Let's go to a 4-hour chart, and I just want to show you something that happened, which is really kind of interesting. We kind of had a channel here, and I called this channel down all week myself. I mean, let's just go get a channel. I called the back and forth through the channels and the breakouts of them to the downside and upside. If you notice, we had this channel here. We eventually broke through it, and we had this channel down here. Where is it? More or less. I mean, I grabbed the wrong one. I should have grabbed the middle one. Should have grabbed this one, and this one. So they are close enough, and eventually, we got a nice bounce off them. Let's just move this one out of the way. Remove drawings. I'm going to redo it 1 second. There we go. We came back to the 1802, and I called that 1802 nicely back to the upside, and we called the 93, the 8350 failure. Came back to the 1800. When we came back through them, we retested that day down. We pushed up, came down, pushed up, came down a little bit, pushed up in the overnight, never came back down. And on Friday, we tried to get back to where? The 83 and the 94 area, couldn't get to the 88, rejected the POC and fell through it. And if we are below on the short time frame, below the 2868, we're still bearish. We have to clear that, and we have to stay above the 1840 to stay bullish. So we're going to mark an oval here on the 4-hour so everybody can see it. We're going to do an oval here on the 4-hour at the 1840. If we fall through it, eventually we'll go to the 78 area. And if we clear, stay above the 40, we clear the 8350, we're going to look for the 2920 area here, 18 area here. So what I'm going to do, go back to the daily, and we're just going to put an oval right there, okay? Daily. There's an oval here since we are in this area. So what I'll do, that oval is up here, which is okay. We're just going to keep it there. So it's there, and there's one here, which is the 200 SMA. I'm just going to move it a little slightly higher. remove drawing, and just make it a little bit slightly higher. There we go. And go back to the 4-hour. So remember, on the 4-hour, our eyes to see if we do hold the 1840, this was the prior gap, this area and the channel, and get a bounce. If we fail through that area, look to the downside, because that 37, 35 area, that 61.8 from here to here is not going to hold us up. Even if we do a Fibonacci retracement, I'm going to show you how to draw a simple one on the Fib percentage wise. Take this area here all the way to the high, and this is your line in the sand that we have to hold. Okay, everyone? Oops, why didn't it take it? So this is the area that we have to hold, that 61, 62 area to the upside, to continue back up 70, 83, then 83, to the 90, 29, 2800, it's going to 2900, it's going to be mental in order to get to the 2819 area. If not, we fall back down through the 2800, 2840, and eventually back to the bottom. Remember, this is very technical trading. Try to see what's out there, what the market is giving you, not what you think, because you're biased to somebody's opinion or the noise in the market that's happening. From us at Solstice ATR and Vulcan Capital Research, we'd love to have you join us in our room. This video is always once a week issued to everyone. It's free. Just click on subscribe on YouTube. We'd be more than happy to send it to you, and have a great week. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Look forward to seeing you in our chat room next week. Take care, everyone.